play it again. Good morning and welcome to the Blindsided podcast. Today's episode 55. Five,
Wow.
five. And my name is Charlie Collins. And today we are going to talk more about strengths. And we got some neat questioning and ways to really tap into our strengths. And I'll share some of my experience with having that list handy and going, I guess I can. So it's good to be here.
Good morning, Charlie. My name is Brenda Hayden. I am the co-host of this Blindsided podcast. I'm going to start saying that first because I always forget. I think people already know. I'm also the founder of Time for a 10. We're an emotional awareness, emotional intelligence coaching service. What we do is we help people get to the exact nature of their patterns of behavior. And we go into their 0 to 7 programming, and we unlearn. We help them unlearn so they can live their best lives. And I'm happy to be here today talking about the VIA Institute and character strengths.
Well, Brenda, what you do is that you help them unlearn first, uncover, discover, discard, right? And you
Absolutely.
help them see that maybe they're aligning with character defects or resentment or whatever it is that isn't allowing them to tap into their strengths and come from that.
That's 100% right, Charlie. And I think, I speak about Bruce Lipton a lot because his book, The Biology of Belief, was really transformative for me because I had no idea that my brain is in a theta wave from the ages of 0 to 7. So what does that mean, a theta wave? Why is that important? The theta wave state is almost like a twilight sleep state. You're extremely impressionable. So what does that mean? That means from the time you're 0 to about 7 years old, you start coming out of it. Everything that you feel, you see, you hear, behaviors you witness, right, gets imprinted on your subconscious brain as the way it is, right?
Mhm.
And those create these patterns of behavior, including, if you're in an environment where it's not loving and caring and supportive, and you're being told that you're this and you're that and you're not good enough and you're a nuisance and you're a problem, you're not loved, and if there's all that kind of stuff going on, Charlie, you have no idea that you have these strengths. In fact, you're completely focused subconsciously, and that's what you project out into the world and then attract into your life, that you are all of those things. And so this cycle perpetuates, right? Because where our attention goes, energy flows, right?
Yes.
No, that's why finding out what your character strengths are and starting to build on those, discard the weaknesses or what you consider to be weaknesses or what you told were weaknesses, discard them altogether and just focus on the strengths. And I think that's really what we're going to be talking about today, how to do that.
Yeah. And I like how I built my life for many years around my weaknesses because I believed I probably didn't have many strengths. I wasn't as smart as the other kids. I wasn't able to see. I couldn't read in a book without magnification or something. I remember sitting with, we'd be listening to music, and my buddy would be looking at the CD case, and he knew all sorts of stuff about bands. I didn't. And I used to say, think like, yeah, I'm not that smart. But really, he would read these CD cases and then share it. And he was interested. He was using one of his strengths, which was his love of learning about bands and the music and all that. And then he would share it. But I saw it as uh, well, a little bit like that's not fair. I mean, I can't just read a CD case, and he's so smart, and no, that none of that was just me focusing where my attention was going, my energy flowed, and also like how we know about the law of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
This universal, because I know everybody on the listening or watching the recording has like thought about somebody and your phone rang and it's that person. It's like, no way. Or like I'm picking up my phone to text that person and they interrupt my text by calling. It's like, whoa. Or, when you focus on and bring into your vision, your mind's eye, like, the goodness and sales and, in a way that it's not self-serving, it's to make it better. It's amazing. Like the calls I get, the emails I get, the sales I used to make doing that. And, but it made such perfect sense, Brenda, because back in the day, the universe provided. Because that's what it's not going to work. How can I do this wrong again? I never do this right. And then I got more of that.
Absolutely, Charlie. So, you know what you're talking about? You're talking about our ability to co create, to create our own reality. I like to use the word co create because circumstances sometimes happen, like 60% tariffs that I didn't co create that, that are beyond our control, right? But there are other things that are very much in your control. And what you're talking about is co-creating. I like to use this example. Before I bought a Toyota Camry, and I love my Camry, I never really saw Camrys on the highway. It wasn't in my awareness. As soon as I bought a Toyota Camry, I saw them everywhere. And the only reason why that happened is because it was in my awareness. Think about
Mm.
how powerful that is. So it's once something comes into your awareness and you're focusing on it, it starts to become very active in your reality. And you can see that the same example that you just used about you're thinking about somebody and they call, or you're thinking about somebody and they text, happens all the time. I love the number 111. It happens to be my extension at work. It's a very angelic number. It has sacred significance. 111, 333, 444. I see these numbers all the time, multiple times a day on license plates when I'm driving, every single day. It's what I've co-created in my reality. It makes me feel good, right? So if I could do that, what else can I do?
Mm.
Think about it.
Oh, I do.
What are you doing?
And it's not, and my old me would say, oh, you can see a license plate and and that's why it doesn't work for me. That's not the truth. It could be a taste, it could be a smell, it could be what I hear, it could be, just energy. There's the universe will always provide. And this attraction will also, it always works if, depending, not depending either, no matter what, it works every day. And I came into the platform this morning, and I worked on it, got it all set, and I came in this morning and I'm going, what is going on? Like, we have scenes, they're called. That's when I switch the scenes on the screen. And it kept bringing up a thumbnail and no camera. And then it played something and it added new, and it was a mess. And I'm like, I didn't get frustrated. I mean, yeah, I said, okay, what are you doing to me, Restream? But I said, well, I am a problem solver. I can figure this out. So what would I do? Step one, instead of getting mad, saying, "Oh, this always happens to me. Computers are so stupid." Well, they're not. They're pretty smart. Cameras, I hate everything. You know what I mean? I go right down. And then if I stayed with that, Brenda, and my day probably the next thing, I would have only been looking for those things that weren't working.
I love that you just said that, Charlie. I just did a video this morning about exactly what you're talking about. The the little things that happen throughout the day that I may allow myself to get all worked up about. Now think about this, right? Something really big, and you and I both have gone through some really big stuff. Something really big happens in my life that's challenging, and I plow through it like a warrior, right? I'm just like, woo, I just go right at it. But the little things like something not working, or I make a mistake on a spreadsheet, or I don't get my way with something, right? I'm like, oh, I can go down that path where I allow that to annoy me. And guess what? By the end of the day, there's 50 of those things, and my whole day is ruined when really they're just minor inconveniences. And that's what I say to myself now. Hang on now. It's a minor inconvenience. It doesn't matter. I do that with 50 different things throughout the day. I'm having a pretty good day, right? That's all co-creating. It's all co-creating. So let me say good morning to Cassidy and Carrie. We're so glad you're here. Carrie put a big sun smiling face. And Cassidy says the only platform this is working on right now is Facebook. She didn't say right now. She just said the only platform this is working on is Facebook. So that must be some information for you, Charlie. Minor inconvenience. We could repost it on all of those platforms. Either.
I'm glad I'm not ready to leave this and go fix it. You know, also, Brenda, this platform that we use likes to do updates and give us more features. And sometimes more isn't the solution, you know? And they got to stay with the competition. They got to do what they got to do. But, you know, they add some things. It's like, whatever. And when I was building this, you have to create event. You don't have to, but you create the event. So you connect it to your social media. And this is all in line with what we're talking about. So it's, and I do all the steps and I click create and it spins and spins and spins. And then that goes away, but it wouldn't. And I'm like, what the heck? And I scroll up and I look and it says, an error has occurred. Try again later. Oh, I love those. It's like, we don't know what happened, but you know, imagine doing that in business. I'm sorry. I'm not able to get your product, even though I told you to drive here to pick it up today. I forgot. So anyway, so I did it again. And then I did it again. I closed the platform. I did it again. I kept getting that message. Then I went to YouTube and the upcoming stream was listed 6 times. Oh gosh. So I removed 5 of them. So I will figure out afterwards. But, you know, we run into things, especially in this technology universe we live in, whether it's the phone, whether it's computers, cameras, microphones, microwaves, fridge breaking, heating. I mean, all sorts of things. There's problems. There's things that break. Cars need this, that. And it's like E plus R equals O. The events, the things in my life, situations, whatever. It's always, you know, the outcome is based on how I respond. And then I go back to my strengths list, which I've done this whole week since our last podcast. And I kept saying, you know, well, let's say creativity. How would a creative person approach this? If what would, you can use a creative person's name. What would, I can't think of anyone, but how would they, huh?
Brenda.
Yeah, how would Brenda Hayden approach this? Well, I know. So, you know, that has saved my life, knowing that I have the ability to not react, to respond. Because when I react or I blame, complain, rationalize, justify, make excuses, I'm giving my power away. I'm saying I'm powerless and everybody else it's their fault. It's the car's fault. It's the computer's fault.
Yeah. When it just is. It doesn't have to be anyone's fault. So good news for me, Carrie's watching it on the Time for a 10 YouTube channel since it's not broadcasting on Blindsided. And I'm guessing Cassidy must be on Facebook. So people are able to get to it, Charlie. So that's good news.
Yeah. And the recording will be there.
And the recording will be there. But again, focusing on your strengths. And when these disturbances, right? When these disturbances come up, I think what we've learned from doing 10s, right, which is inventorying the disturbance for years now. We do a 10 when we're disturbed. We inventory the disturbance and we actually right size the disturbance. And most of the time, it's really not a big deal. You know, I've talked before on this podcast about doing that spontaneous thought journal to to get a picture of what my thinking is like when I'm not thinking about my thinking. So, what is going on in my subconscious brain? So, I did a spontaneous thought journal for a week. I walked around and randomly wrote down my thoughts. And then I compiled all the thoughts together in a document at the end of the week. And I looked for patterns in it. And there was a victim mentality pattern in it that I had no idea that I was walking around perceiving when I'm not thinking about my thinking, perceiving myself as a victim in the world. And knowing that information, now I can go into my strengths of love and self compassion and forgiveness, not judge myself for that, but and my love of learning, right? So, and part of why I did that was because I have one of my big strengths is love of learning. Right. So, what's this here to teach me? And I ask myself that question all the time. What is this circumstance, person, place, thing, this mood? What is it here to teach me? Because I can learn something from it and I can make an internal change that'll be reflected in my co creation of my external world. And that's what we do, internal changes through awareness, right? Through tapping into our strengths that gets projected now in your co creation activity in your outside world. It's a beautiful carousel of just light and love, really.
It is. It is. And you said a 10. It's a set of, for those who don't know, it uncovers what the tension, the anger, the resentment, the like fear, it help you uncover it. And then you ask your power, your higher power, help me remove, or no, not help me remove it. And then you call someone, right? And that can be somebody that understands how to help guide you to do that. And then they help you see something. That's what blindsided, see to win, right? That's my thing, see to win. So that's like blind people are like, well, that sucks, I'm never going to win. It's like, no, see to win, you don't see with your eyes, you see with your brain and your mind's eyes. So, and win for me stands for willingness, intention, now. And I went off course there.
No, you didn't. You didn't go off course at all, Charlie. And I love
No. Oh, I have a question before we go on. What print is on the screen, please?
time for 10.
Thank you. Because if I go down one, it brings up I left the picture of the first page of our assessment.
I don't see that.
Not yet, you don't.
Okay, bring it up. Let's see. There it is. Again, the VIA Institute. It's a nonprofit. You can go out there and take your tests. Go for it, Charlie.
Well, I want to put us.
There we are. Nice job. I'm so glad you're doing this, not me.
Sometimes I agree with that.
It's your strength.
Ooh. So, Brenda, I was asking questions based around these. And then on my second page is gratitude, hope, forgiveness, curiosity. That's a good one.
Yeah.
And kindness and fairness. And if I did this at like 20, 21 years old, I wish I did, because it would be totally different. But how, when I'm noticing what, yeah, I'm not happy with, like, stuff and why aren't I? Because I haven't taken the time, the action to neaten this, organize this, put this away, magnify that, whatever it might be. And so I'm noticing, and then I say, well, what if I was grateful today? How would that look? And it's like, oh, I guess, well, let's see. I have feet. I can walk. I could call somebody and check in with that. You know what I mean? So it's like so that, and then hope. Oh, this is never going to work. I'm never going to. And then it's like, no, it is. And you said, this happened to me. You didn't say that, but you were saying how we think this happened to me, but no, really, this happened for me.
Yes.
And I don't see it right now. Matter of fact, I think it's terrible. But I had some really bad things happen in my life. I made like left and went to a company, gave it my all, and everything fell apart and lost all the money and all that. And I couldn't believe that happened to me. And then I realized it. I wish it didn't. I mean, some things it's like, well, can you maybe show me in another way? But anyway, the Thriving Blind Academy came out of that. That never would have happened. And then I have, curiosity instead of being blocked. Like, there's no way. Well, I have a love of learning and I'm a curious guy. I have zest. I'm creative. It's like, oh, that means I can definitely do this.
That's awesome, Charlie. I tried to answer a chat here. I don't see that it came up on the screen. So, yes, your inner guidance is your gut or intuition. Your gut and your intuition are the same thing. And yes, that is part of your inner guidance system. So, that question came from Carrie. And Charlie, you're right. You can no longer lie to yourself about what you're capable of when you take something like a VIA assessment, right? No more, I can't do this when it's in your top 10 strengths. But here's the thing that really stuck with me, that really touched me with this assessment was we are trained to live from the neck up. We're trained to compete. We're trained to, you know, we are forced into a pedagogy as from kindergarten on, right?
Hmm.
And we're all forced to learn the same thing, be the best at it, and that whoever's the best at it wins, right? They get the big job and the house and the car and the perfect the perfect life. That's the promise anyway.
Yep.
So everyone's competing with one another, and how can you collaborate with someone when you're competing with them? And you're competing, you learn to compete against yourself. So you do something like this, right? These strengths, if you look at them, if you read them, and when I'm done, I want you to read the list of your top 10 strengths. They're all from the heart. They're all from the heart. This is your inner world, your soul, your mind and your soul, your heart and your mind joined, your body, spirit, mind, body together make up your strengths. And we have been so conditioned and so focused on just the intelligence, the knowledge part of it, and we've been trained to forget about our energy system, our ancestors, our heritage. There's this whole cultural thing. I'm in a cultural intelligence class, and this also came up in the practicum that I did, the Schools with Spirit practicum. And as Americans, we've been systematically taught to ignore our cultural um, background, or our where we came from. Like, I'm Irish. I don't know anything about the Irish culture because my parents don't know anything about their cultures, because their parents didn't know anything about their culture, because they were forced to abandon it to become American. The founders of this country systematically made it impossible through the education and the pedagogy and things like that. I mean, even Christianity was forced down people's throats to abandon their roots because they are now American. And I was devastated when I actually, when that came into my awareness that I don't know anything about my ancestry, and I've been doing some work to find that. But back to what I was saying, I digressed. These are all heart-centered, spirit, mind, body centered strengths. I want you to read your top 10 here, and I just listen to the words for people that are listening or that may listen later.
You want you doing mine or yours?
Yours.
Did I put me on the screen?
You did.
All right, I need to borrow your eyes.
Okay. So I can't see the first one because it's covered up by the.
Well, it's creativity.
So creativity, perspective, leadership, honesty, humor, which is one of the highest forms of creativity, spirituality, love of learning, bravery, Charlie. Aw, that's 8. That's enough. Do you have mine? Do you have my chart there? So my first one is love, gratitude, forgiveness, zest, love of learning, curiosity, Charlie's laughing, kindness, and humor. And humor. Do you know that laughter, from a frequency perspective, holds the same frequency as the highest level of meditation you could reach? Did you know that?
Well, I didn't know that, but I knew that you want to open and do things and get the crowd laughing because it puts them in a different, raises up their energy and they pay attention and they get more out of your whatever.
Yeah, it brings them into their heart, Charlie. They're identifying with you. They're laughing with you. You've gotten past this. Beautiful.
And Brenda, it's like, I was thinking, oh shoot, about your list, my list, and I'm like, love is great because I need to go have a difficult conversation, or something I'd rather just hope goes away, but no, it needs to. But how would I approach this as somebody that one of my strengths is love? How would I do that, and how could I say it in a way? I'm curious. Please kick into that part of me. I'm curious that I don't go into this like one sided. How can I be kind? How can I be fairness is another one. And it's like, I mean, I'm almost mad I took this dang thing because now I got no excuses. So Brenda, I want to just do something quick. So in my junior year of high school, I in Western civilization, I had to do an oral report. And probably when he announced it and next class was a week later or whatever, I don't remember, but I was a mess the whole time. And I didn't bother like trying to get prepared for it because I knew I would never stand up in front of a class because I was the dumbest kid in the class. See, instead of being legally blind, like that, I thought was so devastating. I'd rather be known as somebody who isn't that smart because if you knew I was blind, see, if you thought what I thought about myself, oh my Lord. So I approached it like, well, I'm not the smartest one, and I'm funny, and I like to have fun on the weekends. But yeah, the school thing. So if they all know I'm not that smart, they won't pressure me that much. So I walked in that day to do my oral report, and he called my name, and I said, "Give me an F or shoot me." you know so this is what I wanted to that's who I was. That's somebody that focuses on weaknesses, character defects, fear, dishonesty, resentment. I was the law of attraction was working overtime in my life. So check this out, man. This sucks. I can't drive, can't see a computer, I'll never get a good job. Why me? Why does this always happen to me? Blindness sucks. Is that true? You weren't supposed to answer. I put on my Meta glasses. So, hey Meta, what am I looking at? A large, attractive audience that looks hungry. Don't worry, I will keep it under an hour. Just kidding, Martha. She'll bring out the dart gun. So I'm thinking, like, what can I add today? This has been amazing. How many people were here last year? Please raise your hand. Okay, did you not listen? How many people, this is your first year here? Please raise your hand. All right, give them a round. Yoo-hoo! I was here last year too. What can I add to this day? It's been amazing. I've heard my story over and over. I used to say, I was diagnosed at age 9. I'm not alone. I was declared legally blind at age 13. I'm not alone. I drove illegally. I'm not alone. I got caught by the cops. Finally, I'm unique. on motorcycles, snowmobiles. I got to hang out with Jack more, I'll tell you that, and your dad. And boy, that was so funny to hear Barbara talking about bubble wrapping. I saw Jack and Barbara out in the hall, and I said, Jack, you should have bubble wrapped your mother. Thankfully, no one shrunk wrap us. So, there's so much about today that triggered me to not only look for more opportunity, more service I can do, more stepping into my lane, becoming myself, because myself is not legally blind. That's just a part. I have many parts. I got to tell you something funny. I was in a store, a retail store. I hate those things. There's so much crap everywhere and people, and I don't know, just, like a Walmart, no thank you. But I walked up to a mannequin, and I was just tired of being there. My wife's looking at clothes, excuse me, and I'm like, oh God, what are you wearing? And it was a live person. And I grabbed her arm. I ran. Oh my God, that was embarrassing. And then I've gone like 3 times clothes shopping with my wife. It's torture. And I'm like looking at I don't like any of this stuff. But I'm like, oh, she's right there. And I walked up and I went, come on. And it might have hit her hiney a little. And I said, let's go. And the lady turned around. It wasn't my wife. I said, and I ran again. There was a day in my life from age 13 to 23, all I focused on was the problem. What I couldn't do, how you can't help me, how I don't want to be blind, legally blind. I want to get my license. I want to be a jet fighter pilot. I want to do something with my life. I don't want to be a loser. And I almost died because of that mindset. And we heard today, that mindset will kill us. Blindness won't. It's what we think. So finally, I hit bottom. Someone gave me an opportunity, a chance. They believed in me. I didn't believe in me. I believe in you, wherever you are on your journey. I hear acceptance a lot. It doesn't mean I got to like it, but why fight? I want to keep my mind open so I can be creative and look for solutions and be present. I lived in the past because it sucked and the future was going to suck. I don't have that stuff anymore. This has been a great day. So I'm not allowed to stay up here long, or Martha's going to tackle me. She told me last night, but I'm over here, Martha. It's fun to have fun. Oh God, there she is. Adam, come up here. We got to do something. I need your help. I did not pre-warn you, so let's go. I'm not kidding. I'm not going to make you dance, or I won't touch you. All right, I need you to help me. I want everyone to fold your hands, and you show them. I can't let go of the microphone. And I'll explain it. I don't know what the heck. Interlocking your fingers. Maybe like you're praying or you're whatever. All right, has everyone done that? And everyone do it. I'm not doing this. Do it. Okay, now look down. Which thumb is on top? Don't answer me. Just look down. You got it, buddy?
I didn't have any. I feel like a failure. One is not on top of the other.
I have a program for you.
Put the left hand down.
No, you're good. All right, now separate your hands. Everyone with the left hand, the left thumb on top. Raise your hand. You guys are the better thinkers in the room. Now, you right thumbers, raise your hand. You guys are the sexier ones in the room. All right, anybody have their thumbs side by side? I have a special coaching program for you. All right, that's what we heard a lot about science today. Hey, I'm sorry, that's the way it is. That's the science. Now, everybody do it again, but interlock so your other thumb is on top. I don't have all day. How does that feel? Weird. Uncomfortable? Anything else? I was hoping a doctor might say something. Okay, now take it apart and put them back to your other way. How did that feel? So, blindness is very similar to this. We get comfortable living a certain way. That was your comfort. All right, so there is no science. I lied. That is not FDA approved. So, but can you imagine if we didn't say that and you went around thinking, this sucks. I want to be sexy, not a better thinker. I've got to work on getting my right thumb on top. And you can. You can do this over time. So just know it's uncomfortable being visually impaired at times until you step into you and you believe it's possible, believe in yourself. Trust me, I have no fear anymore about asking somebody for help. Hey, man, may I borrow your eyes? No, dude, I'm legally blind too. Okay. But no is moving me closer to a yes. So don't be afraid to step into, you're worth it. Because look at this. This is amazing. I have, what do I have? 4 sisters and 1 brother. 4 out of 6 of us diagnosed in 1976 at the Mass Eye and Ear Center. The 2 dudes that diagnosed us looked like they were brothers of Jerry Garcia. That doesn't matter. I'm not looking for someone to show up at my front door anymore to fix me. I'm not looking for the solution outside of me. It's already a part of who we are. And I heard it over and over and over today. I want you all to please give a big round for the Carroll Center and Alcaeus. Come on, and Sam and Foundation. And I want you all to stand up. Stand up. Don't fall frontwards. All right. We're done focusing, yes, negative and emotion and all that happens, but become present to that and just know it's going to pass. I want you all to, I'm going to ask you to plant your flag. So it's like this. Well, it's going to be, ooh, that's nice. We're going to plant our flag and we're going to say all in unison, really loud, I am alive to thrive in 2025. I am a poet and I didn't know it. All right, are you ready? We're going to plant our flag. 1, 2, 3, plant. Now, I am alive to thrive in 2025. Woo! Make noise!
Oh, I love it, Charlie. That was awesome. Where were you?
In Boston at the Stargard Summit, and my ask was, they didn't. I said, "What do you want me to do a presentation on?" They said, "You'll just come, and when we call you up, do something." So they wanted me to kind of take from the day. That's why I was talking about the guy bubble wrapping his mom because she was so overprotective, and so I was picking on and doing the day's event. Now, that is, first of all, to be asked to come to an event, and we don't need to see what your speech is. We don't need to know. We try to keep it in a certain time limit and have fun.
And you did. You had fun. That was great.
And the planting of the flag, and I'm alive to thrive in 22. That just came to me as I was doing that talk.
Don't you love it when that happens?
Yes, and you said that earlier. See, I lived up here only, but now when I allow and I seek, what would a curiosity bring me today? And spiritual, ask my higher self, the universe, because like I said, the lane, right? The lane we need to, when we drop into that, you said it earlier, Brenda, when we have a day that is just like, wow, today was a great day. I wonder why. Well, maybe I was of service. Maybe I was coming from my strengths. And, I really keep it simple. It's not much more than that. And maybe I did a nice prayer in the morning, whatever, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Charlie, Carrie's saying that's a great clip. I didn't get a chance to say hi to Molly. Hi, Molly. And also, Carrie is saying that she had a very different outlook because of her legal blindness when it came to oral reports, and she loves hearing the different perspectives on, what is your challenge with legal blindness, because everybody has different challenges, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carrie was like a 4.0 student.
Yeah, she's really
She was a little nerd.
yeah.
Haha, you can't
Strengths.
talk.
One of her strengths. But that was a great clip, and it looked like you were having a lot of fun.
Well, yeah. I'm surprised that didn't come up in my strengths. Fun. I don't even know if it is one.
I think playfulness, I don't know. I'm going to have to go check that out. I'm not sure.
It's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And, Brenda, I don't ask, one of mine is humor. And I don't say, how would a comedian or a funny person approach this? I don't do that. Like when I don't write out jokes. I do none of that. I don't know. I just, when I'm talking or I'm on stage or I'm doing things, it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. You're naturally funny. I've heard you speak many times.
Yeah. 55 times so far.
Well, and then some. I've heard you speak in all different, not all different, let's say several different venue types.
Mhm. So I just wanted to, it was a little about me, but I wanted to show from the guy I was to what I can do. And I'm just getting going and I'm now with the asking questions based on my strengths.
Yeah.
What would I do? Why would I want to approach this with the love of learning instead of saying, because I have learned some pretty complex things that camera stuff and settings. And and Brenda, because I have a love of learning, I got into it and then I said, oh, I'll never get this, and it's like, no, is that true? No, it's not true. That's just me giving up. And is giving up one of my strengths? No, it isn't one of my strengths. Zest and hope and all that is. So take a breather, start again. And then now I'm on the other side, really starting to get better and better and better. And it's like, I'm so happy I don't give up anymore. That I gave up all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. So we're just about out of time. I want to leave our viewers with a thought, because you're doing this, and had not occurred. It had not occurred to me to do this. You said that you printed your VIA strengths out, and that you have a list with you, and that you read it frequently, like maybe even daily. So I want to talk about attention span versus retention span. So both my attention and retention spans are like this, because there's so much going on in the world. There's so many distractions. So I would encourage people who actually took the test, and I'm going to do the same thing for myself, to do just what Charlie did. Print it out, keep it by your computer, and make sure you read it and remind yourself of what your strengths are on a regular basis, because we can get so distracted with everything that's going on in this chaotic world right now. We forget that we already have the tools, like Charlie said, they're all within you. They're on a piece of paper by your desk, and you can remind yourself to use them on a regular basis. You are not a victim in any way. Yeah, I love it. It's beautiful, beautiful idea. What a great podcast, Charlie.
Yeah, it certainly was.
Thank you, thank you. And thank you to everybody who's active in the chat and all of our viewers. I hope everyone has a great weekend.
All right. See you later. We're going, we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Yeah, now subscribe if you haven't, even though you can't right now, and share it. And bye-bye.